I've been teaching French for many years now, and what students ask me all the time is, how can I sound less English and more French when I speak French? The truth is, the French accent is very diverse and there is no one way to speak French. But there are some tips and tricks that you can use to sound more authentically French in your own conversations. Would you like to learn what they are? In today's lesson, I will teach you some of the most common mistakes that students make with their French accent. And I will give you some tips on how to fix them. In French, words are stressed on their last syllable. So we say, for instance, une Parisienne, and not une Parisienne. Repeat after me, une Parisienne. Une Parisienne. Or in a simple sentence, demain, on ira à la bibliothèque. Tomorrow we'll go to the library. Repeat after me. Demain, on ira à la bibliothèque. One more time. Demain, on ira à la bibliothèque. Good. It's not something like demain, on ira à la bibliothèque. That would sound weird in French. Stressing the end of words is a first step to sound more French and be better understood. Another mistake is to try and pronounce all the letters in French words. As you know, there is a ton of silent letters in French. For instance, these are pronounced vu. Vu, it means seen or views, with a silent E and a silent S. Vu, vu. We also have le printemps for springtime, le printemps, with a silent P, a silent S, and you don't hear any N or M sound either. Le printemps, le printemps. Or les Champs-Élysées, with a lot of silent letters. I made a whole lesson on this particular avenue that you will find in the blog post for today's video alongside the full transcript for this lesson, extra resources, and more fun things that could not fit in today's video. You can find it at the link below this video and it's all free. The most common silent letter is obviously the S at the end of a word. It is often the sign of a plural, as in un ami, a male friend, un ami, and des amis, friends, with a silent S at the end and a liaison in the middle, des amis. We also have the E in feminine words, as in une amie, a female friend, une amie. And if we add a plural, we have des amis, several female friends, and the S and the E are silent, des amis. And in everyday spoken French, it's even worse. In daily conversations, we cut a lot of E, even sometimes in the middle of a word. Like, je serai là à 8 heures, je serai là à 8 heures, I will be here at 8 becomes je serai là à 8 heures, je serai là à 8 heures. And even je serai là à 8 heures, je serai là à 8 heures. Yes, this is a very common everyday pronunciation. We also cut the end of some words to shorten them and even drop some of them entirely. For example, the negation in ne pas, where it loses the ne. So a correct sentence would be je ne serai pas là. But in everyday spoken French, it sounds more like je serai pas là, je serai pas là, je serai pas là. Now, I could make an entire lesson on silent letters in French, and actually I already did. You'll find more about silent letters in today's blog post for the lesson and also when to cut words in French. But for now, I just want you to remember that often in French pronunciation, you should rather pronounce fewer letters than all of them. But really, should you even concentrate on pronunciation in the first place? Here comes our third mistake. Sometimes you shouldn't even spend too much time on pronunciation. By that, I mean that French sounds are just too strange. You know, like the French R in le riz doré for golden rice. Le riz doré. You can even notice the silent Z here. We also have the U and the OU sound, as in le mur for the wall and l'amour for love. And the nasal sounds, these ones are very scary for students. We have le ton for tuna, le ton. Le temps for time, le temps. And le printemps for springtime. We also have the E and the E, as in la reine du jeu d'échecs, the queen in the chess game. La reine du jeu d'échecs, where we have an E sound, we have a E sound, we have a E sound and another E, and they're not even spelled in the same way. Unfortunately, all these sounds are very common in French. Each one of them is a specific issue that you need to master. And yet, don't concentrate too hard on their pronunciation, or rather, don't start by concentrating on their pronunciation only. Because the key is to hear the difference. I've seen many students try to practice their pronunciation before they could even hear the difference, and obviously it doesn't work. But once you can hear the difference, the pronunciation will get vastly easier. Like, which sound am I doing here? Is it on, or un? We have le bon. We have le bain, and le banc. Do you know? Yes, it is le bon with the on sound, le bain with the un sound, and le banc with the en sound. You will find the translation for all the examples in the blog post for today's lesson, as well as links to all my lessons about the tricky sounds in French. We also have OU and U, remember. So which sound is it? Le but, le bout, and j'ai bu. Can you hear the difference? We have le but with the U sound, we have le bout with the OU sound, and j'ai bu with the U sound. And finally with e and e, which sounds can you hear? In je and j'ai. We have a sound in je, which is I, and we have a sound in j'ai, I have. In le and les. We have a sound in le and a sound in les. Both mean the in the singular and plural form. Then we have un T et une T. Can you hear the difference? Un T, une T. For a T and a pillowcase. Un T has the sound E and une T has the sound E. And with all the combined. Je cours dès 8 heures. I start running at 8. Je cours dès 8 heures. And also, j'ai cours de français. I have a French lesson. J'ai cours de français. Did you hear? Je cours dès 8 heures. We have a sound, a OU, a French R, E, U, E, and the French R again. In j'ai cours de français, we have a E sound, a E sound, a nasal en, and E. That's a lot. Of course, it takes some time, but practicing your ear on purpose is really going to be key for you to be able to say all the sounds properly. Now, this is not easy. You will make mistakes, and this is part of your own accent. And this is why you shouldn't obsess over it, which is mistake number 4 out of 5 for today. You probably have your own accent, and don't worry, it's cute. You only need to be clear enough so that people understand you. That's the important thing. not having a perfect French accent. And just like everything we've seen before, it comes with practice. With any kind of active practice, you quickly realize which sounds and which words make you struggle. Practice can be as simple as reading French aloud or talking to your dog, your cat, or your goldfish in French. Or you can get to the next level with the French Conversation Club. It's my Comme une Française program that is completely concentrating on making you practice. You will get a ton of help with everything we've mentioned today and much more. Jump in the blog post to learn more about that. Practicing your French in a program is going to help you with our last mistake for today, which is neglecting grammar and vocabulary. Because really, that is how to sound authentic. Using everyday informal vocabulary with your friends can go a long way into making you sound like more than a tourist. It can be as simple as using words such as chouette for nice, chouette, or les potes to mean friends, or les fringues for clothes, which would be les vêtements in common French, or even j'ai la dalle as an informal way to say j'ai faim, I am hungry. You can also say je suis crevé to mean that you're really exhausted, like in je suis très fatigué in common French. I am very tired. Je suis crevé. And you will fit even better with informal grammar. Things like cutting the ne in negative sentences, using tu instead of vous with potential friends, or by learning everyday expressions such as quoi de neuf for what's up, or dans le coin for around here or literally in this corner. Or by learning how to ask a question in an informal manner. The formal, correct way to ask a question can be a bit complicated in French. You know, something like est-ce que tu es là? Or es-tu là? To mean are you there? Or où es-tu? Where are you? Well, you will sound more French with more informal grammar around questions, and it's also easier for you. You just need to add an inflection to an affirmation. Tu es là, you are here, becomes tu es là, are you here? And to get this even better, you can say t'es là, because in informal French, we cut the U at the end of tu, that becomes te. T'es là. And when there is a pronoun like qui for who, or quand for when, or où for where, etc., you can do the same by adding this word at the end of a sentence. So, où es-tu for where are you? Où es-tu becomes tu es où? That becomes t'es où? Where are you in informal French? Or with quand venez-vous? When are you coming? Quand venez-vous? You do the same, you replace the vous by a tu to make it more informal, and it becomes tu viens quand? When are you coming? It is a very simple way to sound more authentic in French. And so much more effective than trying to get the perfect French accent before anything else. You can click on the link to the blog post below the video to get more informal French to sound more authentic, or you can click right here on your screen to find out more about embarrassing mistakes in French. Congratulations for your effort in learning French. I will see you in the next video. À tout de suite!